For over a decade, one of rock's most legendary bands stayed silent. No tours, no stage lights, no live thunder from the trio that once defined progressive rock. Rush had disappeared from the stage, and for many fans, that silence felt final, because Rush was never just a band. They were a musical language, complex, emotional, technical, human. Then, in 2026, something happened that no one expected. Rush announced a return, the 50-something tour, a celebration of 50 years of music, legacy, and survival through loss. But there was a problem, a very big one. Rush wasn't coming back as the same band that left, because the heart of their sound, drummer Neil Peart, had passed away in 2020. And for many fans around the world, that was the end of Rush. Not because the band couldn't continue, but because Neil Peart wasn't replaceable. He didn't just play drums, he told stories with them. Every fill had meaning, every rhythm carried emotion, every performance felt like a chapter in a book only he knew how to write. So when Rush announced they were returning, the music world froze. And then came the second shock. They had chosen a new drummer. Her name was Anika Nilles, a German drummer known in technical circles for extreme precision, independence, and control. But outside that world, many fans had never heard of her. And instantly, the internet exploded with one question. How do you step into a role that the entire rock world calls impossible? Not difficult, impossible. Behind the scenes, something very different was happening. Anika Nilles was not trying to replace Neil Peart. She wasn't trying to compete with him. And she wasn't trying to reinvent Rush's sound. She was doing something far more dangerous. She was trying to translate him. Not copy him, not modernize him, but understand his musical language so deeply that it could be spoken again without losing its meaning. In preparation for the tour, she went far beyond normal rehearsal work. She didn't just learn songs, she dissected them, measure by measure, fill by fill, pause by pause, even silence by silence. She studied live versions, studio versions, alternate performances, everything. But something started to change inside her approach. At first, she was thinking like a drummer, trying to prove herself, trying to get it right. But the deeper she went, the more that mindset broke down, because Rush's music doesn't survive copying. It only survives understanding. And slowly, she shifted. She stopped thinking like a performer and started thinking like a translator, entering another person's mind, Neil Peart's mind. And that shift changed everything. Then came opening night. The arena lights dropped slowly, like the entire world was holding its breath. Thousands of fans filled the venue, but the energy wasn't excitement, it was uncertainty, even suspicion, because this wasn't just a concert, it was a test. On stage, Geddy Lee stood calm but focused. Alex Lifeson adjusted quietly in the shadows, and behind the kit, Anika Nilles sat completely still. No movement, no performance energy, just focus, like she was locking every possible detail into place before the first note even arrived. Then the music began. The first song hit the arena with precision, clean, controlled, faithful to Rush's original sound. But something felt slightly different. Not wrong, not better, just shifted. Every fill she played was exact, but subtly rebalanced, like she wasn't performing the music, she was respecting its internal weight. And the audience noticed, but didn't react yet. Rush fans don't react quickly. They study first, then decide. As the set continued, the complexity increased. Odd time signatures, sudden tempo shifts, layered rhythmic structures that leave no room for error. And still, there were no visible mistakes. But the real moment was still ahead. Halfway through the set, Rush moved into one of their most emotionally heavy songs, a piece deeply tied to Neil Peart's storytelling identity. The atmosphere in the arena changed instantly. Lights softened, screens slowed, even audience noise faded. It felt like memory entering the room. This was the moment everything could collapse or become something new. And now, Anika Nilles' preparation finally revealed itself. Her secret technique was not speed, not complexity, not power. It was emotional mapping. She broke music into internal layers, where tension builds, where silence speaks, where drums carry the narrative instead of support it. She also trained with isolated Neil Peart recordings, not to copy him, but to understand his micro-intentions, the human decisions inside perfect drumming. And on stage, it showed. Her playing wasn't flashy, it wasn't loud, it was intentional. Every accent felt placed like a response, not an action. Geddy Lee began looking back at her more often. not with concern, but recognition. Something was working, something fragile but real. Then came the turning point. A sudden transition hit, fast, complex, unforgiving. One hesitation would collapse everything. But she didn't hesitate. She moved through it like she had already lived it 100 times, and the crowd felt it immediately. Confusion shifted into curiosity. Curiosity shifted into attention, and attention began turning into trust. Then something deeper happened. Rush adjusted, not dramatically, but subtly. They gave more space, more breathing room, slightly longer transitions, softer phrasing between sections. This was not random. This was trust being built live on stage, and it allowed Anika's deeper skill to emerge. Musical architecture. She wasn't just keeping time, she was shaping structure. Every cymbal swell, every ghost note, every pause became part of the band's conversation, and slowly, something remarkable happened. It stopped feeling like Rush with a replacement drummer, and started feeling like Rush again, whole, alive, balanced. By the final section of the concert, everything had stabilized. The audience wasn't analyzing anymore. They were feeling. And Anika's preparation revealed its full structure: deep transcription immersion, emotional subdivision, adaptive restraint, knowing when to play, knowing when to hold back, knowing when silence carries more weight than sound. The final song built slowly, layer by layer, until it reached its peak. And then it stopped. Silence. A long pause that felt almost unreal. Then the arena erupted. A standing ovation. Not scattered, not hesitant, unified. Geddy Lee stepped back. Alex Lifeson lowered his guitar, and Anika Nilles sat quietly behind the kit, absorbing the moment without theatrics. Because the story was never about replacement, it was about continuation. Rush hadn't returned as they were. They had returned as something newly complete. And the real secret was not technique, it was understanding this: music doesn't survive by replacing the past, it survives by continuing what still wants to exist.